rolling money from your 401k to your IRA could be a good option. It might also be a better option to roll money from an IRA into your 401k if you're still working, or even if you're retired. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that the IRA rules were based off of the annuity rules.
That's right. You taught me that.
I want to make a distinction between taking the money out and doing a rollover.
Okay.
So sometimes these sound like the same thing. They're not exactly the same thing. There's a withdrawal is different than a rollover. 59 and a half. This could be the most important age in your retirement planning. In this video, we're going to talk about why 59 and a half is such a critical age, the things to pay attention to, the things to avoid, and how to make sure that you don't miss anything on your journey to retirement.
Yeah, and I am 59 in 8 months, and so this is directed. I mean, this hit home a lot.
This is relevant for you.
So yeah, so all of you folks my age, born mid 60s, graduated in the mid 80s, pay attention. This is going to be some good stuff.
So the most common thing that folks know about 59 and a half is this is when typically you can begin to, access your qualified dollars, your traditional IRA or 401k or 403b without penalty. Now that doesn't mean you can do so without tax. So that's a whole other issue. And this is really one of these opportunities, but this is a really big age for that. Mm-hmm. And I think I should also say, if people have non-qualified annuities, this is an age where those options become different as well. There's not a penalty anymore for accessing that.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that the IRA rules were based off of the annuity rules.
That's right. You taught me that.
Yeah, so that's a weird one. Some people, it's pretty rare to have younger people have non-qualified annuities, but it does happen, and so that's something that they should be aware of.
Cool. So, Ian, what are some of the mistakes that we see clients make when they hit 59 and a half and they're like, hey, I can get to my money now?
Yeah, so one is, you just cash everything out.
Yeah.
That's it, and you'd be shocked at how often that happens. So like, I can take my money, I'm going to cash it out. It's safer in cash, and then, boom. So I'm hoping that if you're watching this, you understand why. Obviously, this is not a great idea, but this is a mistake, right? One of the benefits, some would argue, to having money in deferred accounts is that you've got to leave it in there. You've got to let it compound and grow, assuming that it's invested.
But are there some situations where it is good to take the money out?
It can.
Okay.
There can be good situations.
Let's talk about that.
And so I want to make a distinction between taking the money out and doing a rollover.
Okay.
So sometimes these sound like the same thing. They're not exactly the same thing. There's a withdrawal is different than a rollover. So a rollover is moving money out of something like a 401k or a 403b into a traditional IRA. That's not a taxable transaction as long as it's executed properly.
Is that limited to the 59 and a half?
Depends on the plan, I will say.
Okay.
So that's more of a plan-specific thing, really. However, most people, when they think of taking their money out of their 401k, they're thinking of a withdrawal.
Yeah.
And so it's not always a taxable transaction. And taking money, rolling money from your 401k to your IRA could be a good option. It might also be a better option to roll money from an IRA into your 401k if you're still working, or even if you're retired.
Okay.
And what determines that is really how the plan is designed, what the investment options are, what the fees are, et cetera. So that's not just like a one-size-all, cookie cutter strategy.
I think this, and I'm sure a lot of people think that. I don't, in my head, I don't see a lot of difference between an IRA and a 401k. They're both pre-tax money, and that's as far as it goes. We could probably do a whole show on what the differences are.
Yeah. There are a lot of differences. I mean, the big ones are different states have different creditor protection based on the type of plan. So that's an interesting one. Or countable assets is kind of an interesting one for certain things. The other one is that not all 401ks allow for in-plan conversions or different, not all plans have a Roth 401k option. And so that can be a distinction. And finally, investment options. This could be a huge one, and this is a big argument in some cases for rolling money out of your 401k.
401ks might have very limited investment options.
Limited and expensive investment options.
Okay, yeah, that's big.
And so that's something that we want to consider. And so, if that turns out to be you, rolling it into an IRA to be able to do partial Roth conversions could be a huge opportunity, or to just diversify your investments could be a huge opportunity.
Cool.
Now that you understand why 59 and a half is such a crucial age, let's explore some of the tax planning strategies that you can take advantage of at that time.
So, Ian, what tax strategies become available at 59 and a half that someone might not have before then?
So really the big one is Roth conversions. And we kind of teased that a little bit. But when we think about taxes in retirement, we want to think through the concept of tax bracket management. We want to manage the tax bracket that you're in retirement. And if you imagine that you have three different buckets of money or three different tax classifications of money. We've got non-qualified, we've got traditional, and we've got Roth. Okay, non-qualified is taxable. The gains are taxable. Traditional IRA is tax deferred, meaning when you take it out, you're going to pay tax on it. And Roth, the tax has been paid, typically, as long as we play by the rules. And so that's going to grow tax-free. Now, if we're really creating a thoughtful retirement plan, we want to have some money in each of these buckets. Mm-hmm. And the reason is we want to be able to manipulate your tax bracket in retirement just by playing by the rules, right? Let's say that, the tax rates are up 1 year, or you have a certain type of income. We want to be able to pull money or the income that you need from, the Roth or the non-qualified bucket instead of the traditional in a given year. And so this is a great time that we can diversify across our asset types.
I think one thing that we need to, or you need to enforce upon people is the issue of current taxes versus lifetime taxes, and how sometimes paying a tax now, like in a Roth conversion, that hurts. It's like,
it's not fun.
I don't want to pay $50,000 in taxes. Mm-mm. Well, if paying $50,000 today saves you $300,000 in taxes throughout your lifetime, not a bad investment.
No, we want to understand both how to minimize taxes currently, but we'd be willing to trade off paying a little bit more tax now to make the rest of our life less expensive from a tax perspective. Yeah. And doing these conversions early, the earlier the better, really, especially if we do these before 63. At 63, that's when the tax brackets for your IRMA brackets for Medicare come in, and Medicare surcharges. And so we don't want to avoid having big income spikes after 63 because that's going to make your Medicare more expensive.
Well, and it also could make your Social Security taxable.
That's exactly right.
If you're pulling out income, mm-hmm. and you start getting Social Security, you've got a bunch of income there. Whereas if we pay the tax now and get it to be post-tax, like with the Roth, then pulling from that doesn't increase your income, and you get to pay less tax on your Social Security.
That's a huge one. And another strategy is, let's say you want to retire before Medicare kicks in. Yeah. Okay. Well, your health insurance, if you're on the marketplace, is going to be based on your total income. And so we want to be able to manage your total income to keep your premiums and your deductibles as low as possible. So that's a huge tax strategy that hardly anybody pays attention to. So now, before we move on, these 59.5 strategies could save you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in lifetime taxes. Click the link in the description to fill out our quick questionnaire, and we'll send you a personalized video analyzing your specific situation and showing you how to optimize your 59.5 opportunities.
Okay, so Ian, we've talked about how to do this, how to possibly pay more taxes now, saves taxes later. What about the person my age? And I don't want to say I'm there now, but I could see myself there. I'm really sick of my job and I want to quit.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to retire. And do I have enough money? And what can I do now that will help me to be able to retire early and tell these people I'm out?
I've had enough. Well, that 10% penalty adds up. Mm-hmm. If you're in a 15% tax bracket, you have the 10% penalty on effective rate of 25, that hurts, Mm-hmm. So removing that 10% penalty is a huge thing. Sure. Someone has to have, a really manageable, lifestyle in terms of expenses or enough assets to be able to cover those to retire at 59 in most cases. Yeah. It's a big drain, but you can. And so having access to that money earlier allows you to, diversify your tax types, really manage your income if you want to retire early and not have to worry about that penalty. It's a huge lift to be able to do that. I think another thing to look at there too is different investments become an option at that point. And so, if you only had a few different funds in your 401k and some target date funds, we can do some more creative things on the investment side once it's in an IRA that may be more attractive for folks, wanting to retire a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you can do some really cool things. So this 58, 59, that age bracket is also typically a very unique age where a lot of us at my age, we're now empty nesters. And the estate plan that we did in our 30s or 40s is pretty outdated now. The kids are grown; they're not under 18, and you may want to do some things differently. And I would encourage you, if you are pushing 60, get out your estate plan and look at it, and possibly let us sit down and go through it. And if you've not done one, it's high time that you do it. Okay.
Yep.
This is particularly the time, because if you retire and you start traveling more and start doing things, we had someone in our office just last night trip and fall, and man, banged up, and could have been ugly, could have been real ugly. Yep. And I actually just got word that a much younger friend of mine, passed out, has a brain tumor, and is in a medically induced coma that quick. And you're like, I'll get to it. If I get sick, I'll do it. No, you don't know that. I mean, their life changed so quickly. And to my knowledge, they don't have documents. I've done documents for their parents, but not them. And so please, at this age, there's a lot of opportunities, but let's also take care of your legal estate planning and make sure that all of this financial things we do for you is taken care of legally and can go to your kids. It should go in trust. It should be protected. And sometimes your kids may be still young enough that they shouldn't be in control of their money. They're over 18. They're of the age that they could be in control, but you don't want them to be in control.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
I can fix that for you.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's a great trigger to do your estate planning and review your estate planning if you've already done it. So,
and you can do both of those things with us at the same meeting.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk through, what's like the checklist of the strategic things we should be thinking about. So, the first one is, as you're approaching 59 and a half, see what your options are in your plan. What investment options do you have? Do you have the option to do in-plan Roth conversions or contribute after tax? Do you have a self-directed brokerage window inside the plan? These are some great questions, right? And do you have access to non-hardship in-service withdrawals? That's going to tell you if at 59 and a half you can actually roll that money out of the plan. Cool. So that's a starting point of where are you? What are your options? Because if you don't have any options, okay, well that's fine. The next thing that you want to do is you want to really build a retirement plan and understand how long do you need to work. What is your portfolio going to generate as far as income? What is your retirement income percentage, your RIP that Todd hates, our little percentage.
As a dental law attorney,
scale.
I just hate the phrase RIP, but I get it. So, yes.
And then what we want to look at is what's your tax bracket? And do some tax bracket management. Is it given those other things, would it be a good time to do some Roth conversions and to minimize your lifetime tax now by being proactive? So I think those are some really good strategies to look at. But while you're doing that, make sure that you've got the rest of your ducks in a row, like estate planning, like making sure you have the proper insurance coverage. You've got an emergency fund, and you're on track to retire when you want to. So now that you understand why 59 and a half represents such a critical time, a critical opportunity in retirement planning, you can take action to assure you maximize the milestone instead of letting it pass without any of the strategic benefit. And if you're approaching 59 and a half, or you want to optimize your strategy for this critical age, click the link in the description, fill out your questionnaire, and we'll send you a personalized video analyzing your specific situation and showing you exactly how to leverage this milestone for maximum retirement benefit. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
Bye.